look put together. 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the 15th annual Woman of the Year. And now the ceremonial mask removal. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Boom, boom, boom. I'm sorry, I get a little carried away. Yeah. Why, it's Daniel Robinson. I'd know you anywhere.
That's why we always have you.
It's Woman of the Year.
It is.
It's got to be Daniel and Craig. And welcome, everybody. Truthfully, am I a little over the top?
Are you ever over the top?
Well, I am tonight because we want to go over the top. We're so close to going over the top. And we have several ways in which we'll go over the top, including a fantastic live auction. I bet you've already previewed some of the items. Maybe you've already bid. Maybe you've already seen the silent auction items. In that case, we're going over the top. You're helping us get there. We're so close for women and children. First.
Absolutely. How can you help? Right here. Scroll down, donate, bid on items, donate, bid on items. It's like voting. Do it early, do it often. I mean, every chance you get.
Don't bring that back up. Look at you. You're over there like a TV weatherman on Channel 11. You could do that stuff.
I'm trying. It's raining and cold, so you need to donate tonight.
That's good, Daniel.
So
I would say give me 5, but we're socially distant.
Technically, we're 6. So.
No, there you go.
But no, we're here tonight, Women and Children First. It's the largest and oldest domestic violence shelter in the state. We're the only state that we know of that's sheltered male victims. The need is great. We've been impacted like everybody else with the COVID scenario. A few ways it's impacted us. You know, first off, we're a shelter. We've been, all the limitations that you see on bars and restaurants, we have those limitations as well. We've been at capacity for several years now. With the lower capacity of our shelter, we've had to get creative. We've applied for additional grants. We've gotten additional grants. Our staff has been amazing. We've sought transitional grants, and we've been able to provide a ton of additional transitional housing for our clients because our capacity in our shelter isn't as much. Other impacts of COVID, traditionally, Monday is one of our busiest days. And Monday may seem like an odd day to be busy, but the studies show you're 75% more likely to be murdered if you leave during an incident. So the abuse happens over the weekend. When the abuser goes to work on Monday, that's when the victims traditionally get out. And that's when they come to our shelter. Well, as you know, many people are working from home. Our whole event, y'all are all at home.
There you go.
So there's not a Monday to get out anymore. So, we've had to get creative. We've had to work. We're still here. But that's why we're here tonight, because we need help. We need y'all to help us out. So donate and buy.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it. Daniel Robinson, like you've never seen him before. That was terrific. Well, and it brings up, of all the galas and all the fundraisers that everybody watching has been involved in, this is the one that deals with chaos. Chaos in life, a place of safety. And this is why your bid on the items we're going to tell you about, I'll let you do it again, Daniel, that you've seen on your right are going to make such a difference. You enter this story, you make this a safe place, and you're watching this in a safe place, and that's what this is all about. Plus, a new place is on the horizon, which we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. We've started a capital campaign. Our current facility's over 100 years old. I don't know if y'all have walked through a house that's, over 100 years old and hadn't been remodeled in 40 years, but it's got issues. And, we don't have enough space, but it's a safe place now. But as our need grows, our capacity is shrinking, and we have to move. It's not a choice. We have to. So.
This is not the last time you're going to hear about this either. This is why this is such a great night. And the person that's helped engineer it all is an engineer himself.
Yep.
Would you welcome the chairman of the event, ladies and gentlemen, former Chippendale dancer, Wallace Smith.
Oh, my goodness. That is quite the intro. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Daniel. And speaking of thank yous, I've got to hand out some thank yous. So many people have worked hundreds of hours on this event, have provided sponsorship and have provided in-kind services that it'd take me the entire show just to thank everyone. I'm tempted, but I won't do that to you. But I do have to say some special thank yous briefly. Let me start with our fabulous presenting sponsor tonight, Cindy and Chip Murphy. I do not know where we would be without their support over the years. Thank you. We're proud to have 3 diamond sponsors this year, Kathy and Hank Brown, Mangan Holcomb Partners, Team SI, and Captain America and Wonder Woman. Yes, you heard that right. The Marvel Universe also supports women and children first. And we're so happy to have 4 Ruby sponsors with Eileen and Dr. Ricardo Sotomora, First Security Bank, the Brown Foundation with Lynn and George O'Connor, and Bancorp South. And oh my, we have 15 Emerald sponsors: Garver, Diane's Gourmet, Bank OZK, Rosemary and Jason Prather, Nabholz Construction, US Able Life, Terry and Chuck Irwin, Windstream, Baptist Health, Arkansas Children's, McGriff Insurance Services and Chubb Insurance, Frost, Allison and Dr. Terry Yamachi, Mitchell, Williams, Selig, Gates and Woodyard, and UBS. Our 3 Sapphire sponsors this year, thank you so much: Delta Dental, Stone Ward, and the Schick Family Foundation. And my goodness, Daniel, we have 21 patron sponsors this year. Wow. And I wish I could ask, like we would usually, our board of directors to stand and take a bow, but we can't do it. Next year, we're going to do this live. And our staff at Women and Children First are absolutely amazing. They make it work. They quite literally give women and children the ability to have a life free of domestic violence. In fact, pretty much our whole reason for this evening is to help give our staff the resources they need to improve people's lives all across the state of Arkansas. Thank you, staff, for all you do. Our past honorees, we've got a lot. Thank you for all of our past Women of the Year starting in 2007. The Men Behind the Mission in 2016. Last year's honoree, Marcy Dodderer, and this year's honoree, First Lady Susan Hutchinson. And finally, I can't let this night go by without thanking the Woman of the Year Committee, more informally and better known as the Rock Stars. No one works harder with so much passion than Cherie Abston, Kathy Brown, Lisa Bueller, Lee Graham, Megan McBroom, Angela McGraw, Cindy Murphy, Rosemary Prather, Gloria Redmond, Tiffany Robinson, Diana Smithson, Jessica Sorg, and Sandra Stormont. No event chair could ask for any more from a committee. Thank you, one and all rock stars. All right, there you just got your thank yous. Craig O'Neill, take it away.
Love you, Wallace. Okay, the auction items. And before I got down here today, this is a true story. Just before I left, Kavanaugh Pharmacy called and said, Craig, we've got your vaccine for COVID-19. We can give that to you. Schedule a time. So I did. And I thought, coming down here, we need about $25,000 more dollars for Women and Children First. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm now going to auction off my shot. I'm kidding. Are you kidding? I'm going to take my shot. In fact, I'm going to take a shot right now with our first auction item. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the pictures. Look at this. Look at this. Let me get out of the way. Woohoo! Man, the Nature Conservancy Deck House. Now I'll get back in. Enjoy a 2-night stay at the Nature Conservancy's Kings River Deck House overlooking the river south of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Like you didn't know where it was. It's a mere 10 minutes from downtown Eureka Springs, the tick hippie capital of the world, and just 5 minutes from the Passion Play, the one that reenacts the last time Arkansas beat Alabama. You get, listen to what you get. For one fabulous bid, you get the deck house and two-bedroom bungalows that will sleep, not sweep. Yeah, we're not going to sweep them out. It will sleep 20 people total, 40 people if they're small. Let's put it this way. This thing could house the Duggars. It is that big. And get this, they've got indoor plumbing. No longer to have to brave the outhouse. which is so good because when nature calls, because after all, this is the Nature Conservancy, you can do that indoors. Is that not fabulous? Reach out to your friends now, go in together, and here's what I think. After we all get our shots, we get COVID out of the way, what better way to get away from it all, to just have the best time to celebrate the fact that that's all behind us, that we've got herd immunity by getting away to this fabulous, fabulous deck house. So one low bid, to scroll down, give us your bid. We're going to close it out at 8 o'clock, and all of this vacation that you'll go on, you'll have a fabulous time knowing that you did something great for women and children first. Everything you bid, every move you make toward women and children first is great. To show you how great it is and to show you the true appreciation, we bring in Angela McGraw, who can give you an inside look of what you mean by being with us tonight. Here's Angela.
Here we are with yet another example of how this pandemic has persuaded us to get a little creative. We're so excited to be honoring First Lady Susan Hutchison for the dedication she has shown to our most precious gifts, our children. Like Mrs. Hutchison, Women and Children First loves our kids. The past few months, I've wondered often how much scarier it must be going to a shelter where everyone is wearing a mask. And then I see Jenny walking the halls, and she's holding an infant, and I'm sure they see the same caring eyes I do above her mask. Or Lakita, who is running from this place and that place to help a mama get her new place to live so her and her kids can be safe. Then there are the kiddos from Camp Hope, whose faces we could only see virtually this past summer, but Audrey made it easy for us to hang out and have some fun. The many, many grocery and supply runs Lakeise has had to make so our guests didn't have to go to the stores. And Christmas, it looked really different because normally many of you adopt our families. However, this time you trusted us to do the shopping for you. The sweat dripping off of Janet and Kia trying to make sure everyone got something special to help them during Christmas was inspiring. We set up desks and Wi-Fi so our kids can go to school virtually, and there are big yellow footsteps leading to the sinks, reminding us of all to wash our hands often. We have definitely made some revisions the past few months. However, our staff and I want you to know that we are still in the business of saving lives, and it's truly because of all of you. Thank you so much to our Women of the Year First Lady Susan Hutchison, our Women of the Year Chair Wallace Smith, our Women of the Year Committee, our Board of Directors, our Peacekeepers, all of our volunteers, our incredible donors, and our do whatever it takes hardworking staff. We couldn't do it without each and every one of you. And lastly, thank you to the survivors who give us the honor to walk beside them during their darkest moments. I pray that all of us give them a glimmer of hope. And now, back to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Angela. So I get the honor now of introducing a young professional group. We call them the Peacekeepers. 15 years ago, we met in a boardroom, and this group kind of was created. Part of this was, if you look across the boards, we have an aging donor base, aging board members, and we're trying to cultivate the next generation. So if nobody else is going to, how are we going to create our next leaders? And we're going to do it with a grassroots team. What it's built into, each year this group, volunteers thousands of hours. They put on Valentine's Day parties. They put on Christmas parties, back to school parties. They do all kinds of events at the shelter just to try to create an hour of normal, whatever that is to these kids. We mix, you can take your child down there. Of course, this is pre-COVID, and we'll get back to it post-COVID. But, we had, our Peacekeeper families and our shelter families, and the kids get to play and hang out, and they don't know that, I'm in a shelter. It's just a day where they're eating ice cream and playing on the playground. We provide, backpacks for them when they go back to school, because many of these families don't have anything. They literally showed up with nothing. So this group, they solicit donations. They hosted events. They've raised over $100,000 a year for probably a decade strong. COVID has hurt this. You know, we can't have events because we can't all get together. So, you know, they've had to get creative. We've had to get creative with how we interact at the shelter. But it's an amazing organization. If you'd like to get involved, you know, reach out. We're happy to take anybody. We're happy to share our mission, share our story with you. And now, for a little bit more, each year, you know, the Peacekeepers give out a Peacekeeper Award. It's a very special award. It goes to, you know, an individual or an organization in the community that has given back to the shelter and done a lot, whether publicly or privately. So now to tell you a little more about it, Jessica Sorg, current president of the Peacekeepers.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Peacekeepers are the young professional group that supports women and children first with fundraising and direct service to the guests at the shelter. In ordinary years, we host 3 main events: Caribbean Cabaret, Pop-Up Shop, and Vegas on the Rocks. We provide the guests with holiday parties, childcare, as well as organization, upkeep, and other tasks at the shelter, all with our guests in mind to help them heal and improve. We listen, letting our guests and their children express their joys, troubles, and sometimes just general conversation. We listen to the shelter staff and larger board to make sure our talents and volunteer hours are applied as needed. Our group is truly amazing, and I am very proud of each one of them. Together, over the years, we have accomplished great things for improving domestic violence in Central Arkansas. In spite of COVID, we logged over 200 volunteer hours in 2020 and have already logged close to 50 hours for 2021. But no man or group is an island. We always seek help in our community. And in a year like 2020, you look around and you take stock in your life. We as a group did that and knew exactly who we wanted to honor this year. This person embodies everything we as PKs stand for in helping others achieve their potential. She is a mother, grandmother, great friend, and passionate about our community. She was in HR for a large, successful bank for over 25 years, retiring as Senior Vice President Director. She has served on countless committees and boards, including WCF, Single Parent Scholarship Fund, United Cerebral Palsy, Wolf Street Foundation, and Heifer International, to name a few, all done while raising a beautiful daughter. And now the support extends to her grandchildren, never missing a game or event for Ellie or Rhett. These are the attributes that made it easy for us to choose her. She has extended the same beautiful spirit to our group. She never misses a chance to support a Peacekeeper event or member. As her daughter Shelley said, she is always there, she is always supportive, always pushing you forward to be the best. This is exactly what she has done for the Peacekeepers in this community. Often called Salsa by her family and loved ones, please join me in honoring my beautiful friend, Sandra Stormont.
Thank you, Jessica, and all of the Peacekeepers for this beautiful award. It's so artistic, and I know the children played a huge role in putting this together. You, as president now, for over 3 years, and the talented Peacekeeper professionals that you work with are helping to affect change in the lives of women and children. The Peacekeepers group are volunteers committed to serving the shelter, our staff, and our guests. And they do this through fundraisers, service projects, and special events. Since 2008, when this group was formed, they have worked to raise over $500,000. That's an amazing record for a volunteer group. As a volunteer, you connect to the organization with your mind and your body. It can enhance your career and development. Jessica can verify this as she is the Director of Underwriting at Legacy Capital Group. She, in turn, as a volunteer, asked her CEO spouse to get involved. And now, Rosemary Prather is on our board of directors. And this started with Jessica simply volunteering. Volunteering brings joy and fulfillment to your heart, and you meet new friends, and you have the same goals, and those goals are working to stop domestic violence. The Peacekeepers deliver service with heart and with compassion. They're young, dedicated women and men with a myriad of skills and strong talent that exhibit respect and dignity for the guests who come to the shelter. So these volunteers constantly support our staff in so many ways that can't be measured. Women and Children First, to give you a little background, was started 40 years ago, and it was called Advocates for Battered Women. So in 1999, we changed the name to Women and Children First, which fits our mission and aptly really our goal of serving the needs of our community. I say we as I became involved, believe it or not, 33 years ago, and I found a place to call home as a volunteer. It only takes one person to make a difference, and we know that we do that at the shelter by serving others and knowing that service above self always feels right. Then we are proud to serve. Thank you for this award, the Peacekeepers, and I have great respect for what you do and all that you continue to do and will do in the future. You all are our future, and we look to you for your continued support and love for what you do. I'm very honored and humbled to receive this award, and I accept this on behalf of all the volunteers who make Women and Children First and our community a better place in our world.
Hey, have you all met Sissy Jones?
Oh, Craig, I'm so glad that you're here. We're so excited to be part of the Women and Children's event.
We're excited to have Sissy a part of this event in a huge way. First of all, with a fantastic raffle. It is a raffle for 4 David Yurman pieces, the David Yurman collection. It gets its name from men who give their wives or the woman of their dreams something from David Yurman, jewelry by him. When they give it, the woman looks at the man and says, "Ooh, you're a man." So that's where we get it. Man, I appreciate y'all letting me bring out this really B-grade material. Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitress. Okay, this is fantastic. 2 sterling silver bracelets, and now everybody in the TV studio is holding their breath because they just know I'm going to drop it, but I'm not. Look at this. Look at this. Everybody get ready to ooh and ah. Everybody in the studio go ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh. Let that sink in. What a daydream. And you weren't going to bid on the raffle. You weren't going to do that because you never win anything. Well, look at this. And this is just half of what I'm talking about. Look at this. This is just half of the David Yurman collection. Look at this. This is one of them. This is just one of 2 necklaces. Everybody hit it. Go ahead, lead it, Daniel. Now help me here. A sterling silver chatelaine pendant with 4 diamonds. Chatelaine, a word that has never been uttered before in Rooster Poot. Chatelaine. Is this the one? Somebody help me. Sure. Okay, go with it. All right. This is one. Here's the other one. Just to prove to you, this is not fake news. A sterling silver 18 karat gold pendant with a blue topaz in the center. Hit it, Daniel. Ooh, ah. Folks, this is audience participation at home. People walking by your house like they're going to be walking in a cold rain are going to be amazed. What are they doing in there? Ooh, ah. Now, there are 2 ways to enter. Here's what you do. All right. Now, let's get into the business section. All right. You buy a chance to win this item via the raffle on the auction page, or you make a donation, and for every $100 donated, you will be entered for an opportunity to win the stunning David Yurman collection I've just showed you, valued at $5,100. You donate $150, and you'll have 3 chances to win. You give us $55,000, we'll give you every piece we've got. Let's go. Stainless steel. Now, this is the auction part. Here we go. a stainless steel, this is what I'm auctioning off right now that you can bid on till 8 o'clock tonight, stainless steel David Yurman watch containing one white dial protected beneath a sapphire crystal, surrounded by a round, brilliant cut diamond encrusted bezel, all encased within a 23 millimeter stainless steel case. Get ready to ooh and ah on this one, Daniel. Valued at $3,300. This, again, is not a raffle item. This is an auction item in case you haven't seen it. Look at that. Oh, you can't see it, okay. And it tells time. That's the amazing part. You'll never be late. All right, here's what we're going to do. We'll start the bidding at $1,000. Do I have $1,000? 1,000. 1,000. Do I have 1,000? 1,000. Anyone? George O'Connor. George O'Connor just gave us $1,000. Thank you, George. How about 1,500? 1,500. 1,500. Can I get 1,500? Chip Murphy. Chip. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chip. Terrific. 2,000. Can I get 2,000? 2,000. David Cohn. David Cohn is going to give it to us in wine. We'll take it. 2,000. How about 200,000? 200,000. Do I get 200,000? George O'Connor. Yeah. That's fabulous. Oh, wait, 300,000. Heron Hickinbotham. I'm kidding. I just miss it so much. Although we actually have cameras in your house, and we're seeing everything you're doing right now in this studio. And a lot of you are wearing pajamas. So with all these auction items and the raffle I just talked about and the amount of money we're trying to make, you may ask yourself, does this really do any good? What exactly does this do? What difference can this make? I think the best way to sum that up would be for you to watch and listen to a phenomenal story from Tim Whitley.
Good evening, I'm Tim Whitley, and I am here to speak to you tonight about my personal story with domestic violence. Of course, I was way too young to remember the domestic violence while my parents were married, but after the fact is where my story begins, to where my father tried to abduct me from my house where my stepfather and mother had to rescue me. But the story starts even earlier than that, to where I wasn't even born, and how my mom entered into this relationship. She was first married to a drunk for about 15 years, had 2 beautiful daughters with him, and then she finally got a divorce from him. In the small town of rural Texas, only about 1,200 people, she stayed in that town and she met someone that was an absolute manipulator, liar, and heard rumors about her divorce settlement. And so he picked her to go after. He did pick her and he started going after her, and they got married about a year later. His name is Ted. I don't call him my dad, I call him Ted because he hurt my family so much. He is a person that was brutal to my older sisters, and then he was also brutal to my mother. But the domestic violence really did not start happening until they were married, literally night number 1, and that's how you know it was all about manipulation. Night 1, when they first moved in, was the first time my mother realized that she made the worst mistake of her life. She was laying in bed, her 5-year-old daughter was crying in the next room, but Ted forced her to stay in the bedroom and not go to my sister. He held her down until they both fell asleep. That night, my mom realized that she made the worst mistake of her life. After that, the abuse started to continue, and she had to go to work with a lot of bruises and a lot of makeup, almost daily. And that continued while he kept drinking and then being manipulative towards my sisters. The time when it first started realizing to my mother that she had to break the cycle of this violence did not come until it affected my 2 sisters. And that's very important to remember because a lot of domestic violence happens to individuals and they always blame themselves. And in a letter to me prior to this shooting, my mom wrote her story out completely. It's a 10-page letter. And she always continues to talk about how it was always her fault. It wasn't her fault. It's not your fault if you're listening to this message. you are subject to someone that is a manipulator, that's someone that's going to tell you that you are in danger and that they are going to come after your children, that they are going to come after your family, and they're going to come after your friends. That's the area that she was stuck in for years. Finally, the cycle of violence ended when my sister, my oldest sister, at 8 years old, was hit by Ted. That's when my mother decided that she needed to get away. When my mom and family finally escaped from his household and was able to get an apartment with my mother working 2 jobs just to support the bills, the violence did not stop. The divorce happened, but the violence did not stop. Threats, letters, apologies, begging, never happen again, all of that circle of what we always hear about with domestic violence was occurring. But the one thing that happened that still surprises me to this day is my mother started to live her life after the divorce, but she wasn't able to because my dad constantly threatened her with the abduction of myself and the killing of her 2 daughters. That continued to happen throughout, and she had nowhere to turn. She lived in a small town where the police officers were the best friends of my father. She turned to them, they laughed. And that is the story that the reason for this shelter is so important. My mom had no shelter to turn to whatsoever before the apartment, before trying to get financial help. The only 2 ways that my mother knew that she could stop this cycle of violence, even after the divorce, it came up to her that she needed to possibly kill herself, and along with me, because she knew my dad, Ted, would never stop pursuing to abduct me. I remember being very, very young and being told by my stepfather and by my mother and by my grandparents about warnings about an abduction, and they were true. I remember one night when it almost came true, and thank God my stepdad stood up and saved us. But the thing here is that my mom knew that she couldn't turn to her parents. She couldn't turn to anyone because Ted isolated them, moved 60 miles away from her friends, from her family, closest relatives, and that is what abusers do, and manipulate you to think that you are on your own island and that you have to stay in this relationship. The important thing here is my grandparents would have gladly saved my mother. But the reason that she never told my grandparents is because she knew that Ted would still come after them and still come after me. And she did not want to get them in danger. I remember my mother telling me one time that she never, ever thought of herself getting into a relationship such as this. Even her first marriage of the father of my 2 sisters, she did observe mental abuse, and he was a drunk as well. But she never, ever thought that she was going to be caught in a corner, getting hit over and over again, yelled at, pushed down. She never thought she was going to be in that relationship. She remembers being 20 years old and talking to a friend about how she thought that those women were weak and were not able to get out of their issues alone. But then she found herself in that same issue and that same problem. She had no shelter to turn to. She had no one to turn to. She cried herself asleep most nights. Still, after 37 years after Ted vanished and went away from our lives and finally got rid of him, my mom still suffers to this day with depression, anxiety, and just the self-worthlessness that comes along with being a domestic violence victim. She'll always carry that weight. And that is why I'm a board member at Women and Children's First and why I support them. Because things could be so much different for us if we had a shelter back in the day 37 years ago that my mother and 2 daughters plus a son could have gone to. No matter where you are tonight, no matter who you are, you're a man, a woman, 1 out of 4 people watching tonight is experiencing domestic violence. It does not just happen to a certain amount of people or a certain kind of people. It happens to me. It happens to all types of people across the strata. It is so important for this shelter to stay up and running, but we must look out for its future. And the future is where we're going to turn to later on.
And that future involves you tonight. We are about 35,000 short of the goal right now. We're at 265. That is terrific, but we can do better. We look for your participation. Tim looks for it. And the stories that have yet to take place at the center, the Women and Children First, they look for it too. And Daniel, there's so many great things, though. Tim talked about what this means or what a shelter means. There's so many great things in store for all of us.
Absolutely. He talked about the future. Just, like I mentioned earlier, we're kicking off a capital campaign. That's the future of domestic violence in Arkansas, treatment and helping end those cycles. And Tim told you his story, and each year I give you a few statistics. And Tim isn't alone. But the National Network to End Domestic Violence does a survey, and they pick a single day and they reach out to all the shelters across the country to try to collect statistics for a single day. We don't have very good statistics in general, but for that one day, we have good statistics. And it always runs about a year behind, but September 12th, 2019 was the day that the last report was on. And in Arkansas, 29 out of 31 shelters participated. And that one day, 605 victims were served.
Wow.
605 in the one day. There were 149 hotline calls answered. And this is the sad part. There were 120 unmet requests for services in that one day in Arkansas. Let that sink in. 120 people reached out for help and couldn't get it. 52% of that was of those unmet calls were for housing and emergency shelter. People trying to leave, but whether it's budget cuts, COVID, whatever, we couldn't serve them. So we need your help, big time.
And the thing about it is, for those of us, and for you, raised in a beautiful home in Fort Smith, and I know they're all watching you right now, but for those of us raised in a stable home, this is unimaginable. This is unimaginable, but it is realistic. What got you involved? You come from one of those stable environments.
I got involved a long time ago, and I don't even remember how long ago, but the shelter board looked much different. The budget looked much different. My mother-in-law said they needed some finance people on the board. So if you've met Cindy Murphy, you know when she asks you to be on the board, you say yes.
Says it all.
And none of y'all are her son-in-law. So obviously I said yes. And once you get involved, the first time you go down to a shelter, the first time a little kid gives you a hug, the first time you're there and someone walks in battered and bruised, I mean, it just gets you.
And the first mission was to improve the kitchen. How far we've come since then.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't really have a kitchen. So you say improve the kitchen, but
There was
really
a kitchen.
to
There
make
was a hot plate.
Make a functioning kitchen. So give you a few more statistics. Nationally on that day, 88% of the shelters nationally participated. 72,226 victims nationally on that one day. There were over 19,000 hotline calls and over 11,000 unmet requests for service that day.
No wonder.
Over 11,000 people reached out and couldn't get help. Hundreds of programs across the country have been cut in 2019 due to budget cuts, due to funding issues, etc. So why do I give the national statistics each year? All these shelters are in it together. Depending on the level of danger for the victims, they may not end up at our shelter. They may be in Little Rock. They may come to our shelter. And if they're in imminent danger, we will send them far away to protect them. The most notable person, and it's a public story, so I feel like I'm free to talk about it, but you all know and love DJ Williams. He was from Texas. They were in danger. The local shelter in Texas said, you can't stay here. because you endanger everybody at the shelter. And as the story goes, he ended up at a shelter in Little Rock, Arkansas. They had never been there, just put his finger on a map, and the rest is history. So, you know, the national stuff matters. Yes, we protect our people, but we're all in this together. So we need your help once again right here. Donate, buy an item, go to Costa Rica. Craig will model jewelry for you if you want. And, you know, he joked about not
You
selling
have a
his,
nightmare now.
but you know, couple more stats. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and this number honestly shocks me, but 40.8% of Arkansas women, I'm going to repeat that, 40.8% of Arkansas women and 34.8% of Arkansas men experience intimate partner physical violence, sexual violence, or stalking in their lifetime. So over our lifetimes, 40.8% of Arkansas women will experience that.
In the age of COVID, we know the impact of hearing numbers, those
And then-
numbers.
You know, I'm an economics guy, so I'm going to give you two economic stats. But nationally, victims lose over 8 million days of paid work each year.
Wow.
So we think about the physical, emotional stress on this, there's an economic impact as well. I mean, 8 million days of work at a value well over $8 billion.
I've got an economic story for you. A young law student in Arkansas back in the early 70s, I think it was, and didn't have much money. And his girlfriend, who he was in love with, had a teaching job in Memphis. So he would drive his car to Altus,
Not Memphis.
not Memphis. He would drive it to Altus because he wasn't able to afford gas money all the way to Memphis. He'd get out of the car and hitchhike with truckers, because they were safer, all the way to Memphis to see his woman. That young man's name, Asa Hutchinson. The woman is our woman of the year, Susan Hutchinson, who's sitting in a surprise visit right over there. I can't believe they made it down here on this cold, wet night. Take it away, Flawless.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Daniel. And before I could do anything, I've got just a little quick announcement. God bless Kathy and Hank Brown. They just texted me. Yep, I'm taking some texts even though I'm here on camera. So they've just put a $5,000 match on all donations right now. So, woo! Thank you. You know, Daniel Craig in the Army, we go, whoa! That's when you're excited right there. So, okay. All right, let me go calm again. So, all right, I am so pleased and proud to introduce our 2021 Woman of the Year, our First Lady, Susan Hutchinson. Susan was the valedictorian of her Fulton High School class in Atlanta, Georgia. She later attended Bob Jones University in South Carolina, where she earned Bachelor of Science degrees in biology and chemistry, and met her husband, our now Governor, Asa Hutchinson. Asa and Susan have now been married for 47 years. That's awesome. Susan has quite a background in science, but she is also an advocate for the arts. In fact, she sees the arts as brain builders for children and hopes to see more exposure to music for all of our Arkansas students. The First Lady plays the piano herself, and all 4 of her children play musical instruments. The First Lady supports the children of our state most effectively by focusing on the prevention and treatment of child abuse. Susan has spent previous years on the board of the Children's Advocacy Center in Benton County and is an advocate of having a Children's Advocacy Center in every county in the state of Arkansas. We at Women and Children First, we support this concept as we see ourselves all too often the devastating impacts abuse has on families in our state. So please listen now from some of the people that know Susan best on some of the things that make Susan such a fantastic First Lady of Arkansas.
No one reflects a love for children and those that are in need more than Susan. If you take one word that would describe Susan, it would be she cares. She cares deeply, and that's true whether it's a relationship or whether it's somebody who is hurting or whatever else happens in life. She genuinely cares. And all through our married life of 47 years, she's taught me every step of the way about how you can care more deeply. And that's how she impacts people. That's why she's a perfect one to be recognized as Woman of the Year for her caring about people, children, women, and those in need.
When I found out that Susan was chosen for this honor and award, I could not think of anyone who was more deserving. I've known Susan for a long time, and she has been interested in children and especially those that are abused, and she's been involved with the children's advocacy centers for a long time.
I think my mom is the perfect choice for Women of the Year because not only has she demonstrated as First Lady over the last 6 years how dedicated she is to making the lives of children and families better, but over really the last couple of decades, it's been her focus for as long as I can remember. She works hard and she's made the lives of countless families better.
Mrs. Hutchinson has such a significant commitment to children and women who have been hurt. She understands that they come from harrowing situations, even though she herself hasn't been through a lot in her own experience. Her ability to empathize early on is what I saw. Her ability to say, you know, what are the stumbling blocks? I don't know what the problems are. Please teach me. And just the fact that she was open to being on a team where she wasn't the one necessarily out in front all the time leading. She wanted to work on a team of folks that were really going to make a difference in the work that they were doing.
She doesn't let politics get into doing things for women and for children, for advocating for them. You know, D's and R's go out the window. It's all about the kids, and it's all about the mothers. And I really admire her for that. She lives in a political world, but whenever it comes to her passion, she sets that aside.
If you look back at Susan's life, she was a substitute teacher in the public schools in Fort Smith for years, and she taught those that were troubled, that needed some special attention in education. And that's when I really saw how much she cared, not just about our family, but about others. And as our children were getting older, I mean, she's a caring person, so she looked at other ways to impact our community and people, and particularly children, and that's when she got involved with children advocacy centers. And so she was on the board up in Benton County long before I became governor. And so she was able to take that passion in her local community and take it to a statewide level.
When I first met Mrs. Hutchinson, I had no idea what to expect. I mean, she was the governor's wife. So I was shocked, blown away by the fact that this was a woman who was so interested in the work that we were doing and so committed to families that needed her that she was going to get down in the trenches and work with us. She wanted to get her hands dirty, and this work is messy. And we were just so thankful, I was so thankful that she was willing to join us in that fight.
Thank you, Susan, for all you do for women and children. Congratulations on this much-deserved recognition.
Congratulations, Susan. I'm so proud of you. You have done so much for children and women, and you started this, and now you're finishing up by being honored, and you are amazing. I love you, and I'm proud of you.
Mrs. Hutchinson, congratulations being named Woman of the Year by Women and Children First. You have been a tireless advocate for all those who need help. I can't imagine this going to anyone more deserving than you.
Congratulations, Mom, on being chosen as Women of the Year. I love you, and I'm so proud to be your daughter.
Congratulations, Susan, for being selected as Woman of the Year for Women and Children First. What a great honor it is. You've been my Woman of the Year for 47 years. Congratulations on this great honor.
7, 6, 5,
thank you so much for this award, Women of the Year, and it's an outstanding award. I so appreciate it and join in with the other previous honorees that you've had. I'm very honored to be in that group, and I'm very honored that you recognize the work that, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
that I've been doing on behalf of the children who have suffered crimes against their person, like Tim and like his older sister. It is such a hard topic, and so I share that with Women and Children First. It is a very difficult subject to speak out about, much less publicly speak, but we need to do that and draw attention to the plight of so many of our fellow Arkansans who need our help and do not know who to look to other than the police. It is much better if they can reach out to friends and to neighbors in the community for the help that they need. And I also appreciate Women and Children First. You have done an outstanding job through the years in ever widening your vision of how to help those women in crisis with their children who come to you and must work their way through the system. We share that plight as we try to help the children at children's advocacy centers, because they too have a lot of different agencies out there trying to help them, and we try to do that all in one house. Thank you for recognizing the work that we do with the children. Oftentimes, the same children you're serving are the children that we should be serving as well. I do thank you for recognizing that and look forward to further collaboration and cooperation so that we can all join together to stop domestic violence, stop child abuse once and for all. Thank you again, and I will treasure this award. Thank you.
Oh, yay. That is so nice. Susan, thank you so much, so much. It might look like I'm having bad manners, like what is Wallace doing with his cell phone on camera? But this is the reason I have it. So, my friend, our good man, Mr. Tim Whitley, he just did a matching donation of up to $10,000 right now. So we are killing it. We are killing it tonight. So just wanted to announce that. So please, with Kathy and Hank's 5 and Tim's 10, it's a fantastic time to donate right now and get those matches rolling in. And so with that, okay, so Susan, we try to do this every year. We can't thank you enough for being our Woman of the Year, but we try. So just a token of our appreciation, if I can get this unveiled correctly, so we have what we think is, just a great portrait of you. And yes. So so you get this portrait. This is yours to take with you, and we do another portrait like this too. It hangs in our shelter at Women and Children First with all the other Women of the Year and our men as well with that too. So thank you so much. We just really appreciate your dedication and your time and help this year so much, so much. Okay, with that said, Craig O'Neill, take it away.
Wow, I now understand why Asa hitchhiked. I thought he might have been a little, over the top there, but now I understand why he hitchhiked. We all love her. What a marvelous First Lady. And I know you're seeing pictures of Costa Rica, but let me tell you about this next auction item. In honor of the Hutchinsons, we present to you the ultimate urban getaway in the heart of Little Rock, which means in the heart of Arkansas, 3 days and nights in the governor's mansion. You too will know what it's like to have to get obstinate and free-thinking Arkansans to wear a mask and stay socially distant. And you too will know what it's like to keep tabs on a totally unpredictable legislature. Included in the package, a speech on all of the TV stations in which Eddie Schmeckenbecker will be at your side, visually interpreting for the hearing impaired, which means everybody will not be able to hear you because Eddie is so expressive, no one can pay attention to you. I'm just kidding. Although that would be a great auction item, but this one really is. This is for real. Take in the beauty of Costa Rica. 2 unique 7-night trips are being offered. Why, the usual trip to Lake Hamilton or Branson or Greatsland? Nah, don't do that. Instead, we offer you Costa Rica. 3 or 4 days at Vista Magnifica, a fabulous vacation spot overlooking the Pacific Ocean, gorgeous beaches and surrounding islands. The villa is over the top fabulous. Then Vista Bonita Arenal for 3 or 4 days, a new vacation villa overlooking the largest lake in Costa Rica and the surrounding volcanic mountains. Not to worry, the volcanoes are not active, but you will be when you bid on this ultimate trip. And folks, we are so close to our goal. Go ahead, bid. Take your best shot. And after all the shots, who knows? The vacation could be yours. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to Costa Rica. Let's get to something that means even more, our total amount. Let's go back to Wallace. How are we doing? Have you taken a look and seen?
Craig, we're killing it. We are now, our grand total right now is over 280,000 and counting. Donations are pouring in, and yes, please reference Daniel here. That amount that we're talking about, you know, we're having fun tonight, but it's such a serious issue that we're talking about. Daniel isn't just a pretty face, by the way. He's also our treasurer of Women and Children First. And I did ask Daniel and Diane.
One moment, please. The Hutchinsons are leaving.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Governor. We appreciate it. Thank you, First Lady.
Hey,
Thank you,
And family.
I want to give me some security. I'd like to have some security like that.
You want an entourage. is
Yeah,
what you're
that's
saying.
an entourage,
You want an
man.
entourage.
That's cool.
Well, that is good. All right. So those amounts, and I asked Diana, our board chair right now, and Daniel, not what do we think we can get, what does the committee think we can get? I asked them, what do we need? And Daniel and Diana's response was, if we could get to 300,000, that's what we need. And what does that 300,000 mean? It's not a number. That means we can provide in 2021 the services that our women and children are in desperate need of. So please, if you can find it in your heart, we got a little ways to go, but we are almost there. Almost there.
How did you get involved? What sold you?
Oh my Lord!
I mean, being Arkansan of the day.
Yeah, Arkansan today on THV 11.
Arkansan of the day.
I'll try not to get a big head about that, but yes, if you don't know, I was Arkansan of the day the other day. It's Santa Claus. So for 20 plus years, I have been Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, and my wife and daughter, they're my elves, and we've been coming to Women and Children First forever on Christmas Eve with things, and then that just led to, now I'm on the board, and now I'm board chair-elect, and it's just such a great cause, and I'm devoted it and have a lot of passion for it. And
So what started out as Santa Claus has led to this mission?
Well, okay, so my Santa gig, so I had the Army and being a waiter at a Chinese restaurant, Craig, is how I went through Louisiana Tech with no loans.
Wow.
And I need a job so bad.
Did you hitchhike to see your woman? That's the theme of tonight.
He did get kicked in the face.
Yes, I did. I was the mall Santa Claus in college. And you know, that sound, and it is funny, but it was my first introduction to when some innocent kid sits on my lap and says, I want my mom for Christmas. And just like, oh, my gosh. And, just reminders that, it's just there's a whole other, there's a lot of us that are very blessed in life, and there's a lot that are not. And so that's my Santa gig. And
but it brings up sharing.
Yep. And I promise you, your money is going to a good cause. If you take our clients and divide into our budget, about $1,500 changes a life. And when I was board chair, we had a family in the shelter, and we celebrate it, and it's something to be happy about. But the national average is a victim goes back 7 times before they leave their situation, and for us at our shelter, it's 2, and that's amazing. It's better, but it's too many. I referenced the family that came into the shelter. They left, and the dad ended up killing his son. So one time is too many. So your money is changing lives tonight.
Literally. So, you know, I'm also an engineer. That's my, when I'm not working on women, children first things. And, you know, a little random trivia for you. This event took 2,432 emails, Daniel, to, I count those, you know, it's just because I'm
going
an
to make you Arkansan of the year.
you know, oh my gosh.
No, I'll make Susan Hutchinson Arkansan.
Well-
In all my years of doing this, I have never seen a recipient choke up like that, like she did. And
it's powerful. It's powerful.
Well, it's powerful because she's got the heart for what we're talking about.
And she's seen it all over the state. And, you
Yep.
know, it's a community problem. It's not a Little Rock problem. It's not a Fort Smith problem. It's not a Memphis problem. It's an everywhere problem.
Universal.
And our shelter's focusing, you know, primarily on Central Arkansas, obviously, and our community problem here. And I'm happy to say that, you know, with our capital campaign, with our future new shelter, our community is helping solve that problem. The city of Little Rock has leased us some land for $1 a year for 99 years. So the first piece of this is in place. We're happy about it, and we're just ready to get the next pieces in place.
Right. Hey, next pieces. That kind of reminds me, Daniel. So, are we sick of COVID? I know we're sick of COVID. Hopefully, this is, with everything that's happening, we'll get this past us at some point. So, this week, we're going back to where we belong, the Marriott Grand Ballroom, February 5th, 2022. Go ahead. You'll be there, right, Craig?
I'm going to be there.
Craig's going to be there. Daniel, you'll be there, right? All right, us three, we're going to be there. Please come join us, February 5th, 2022.
I wish you all could have been in this studio with us tonight. It sure, all these electronics, and this is a TV studio, but it got to us tonight.
Yeah.
And just, you know, to let you know how much it means to them. It's a cold, wet night in the middle of a pandemic in Arkansas. And Mrs. Hutchinson and her husband and some other family members were here in person to talk to you and to thank you.
Awesome stuff. Just a quick reminder, we are close to signing off for the night. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for watching, for donating, for being a part of the process. The auction.
Did you say donating?
Yes.
Right here, donate.
Right. Did we mention that?
Yeah,
You can donate.
You can donate. You can
donate.
still buy items.
So close.
The auction is not going to close until 8 p.m. So even as we sign off, that's going to keep running, and I hope I'm still winning the cigars. I hope.
It's not too late.
I was the winning bid when this
go
started,
check.
but I'm going to have to check. I'll have to check.
My turn?
Yep. Closes out,
Am I
Craig.
closing it out?
Close it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I appear in honor of two people. The late Phyllis Brandon of the Arkansas Democrat, who was our first Woman of the Year. And the other person, perhaps the greatest, most versatile voice that the state of Arkansas has ever produced, the late Lawrence Hamilton, who at the first Woman of the Year, Wallace, sang to Phyllis and sang to several of our recipients in the most beautiful way.
Awesome.
At our very first Woman of the Year.
He had the first dance.
Well, yes,
Oh.
that's the
Every
way we
year.
did it.
That was tradition.
I appear in honor of those two wonderful people who got this event launched. With that, we now turn your computer into a time machine and go back and revisit several of our past honorees. I guarantee this trip will leave you smiling. Thank you and good night.
Thank you all from the bottom of our heart. Hey, you thought this was over, right? Well, it's almost over. I just got great news. Great news. I mentioned, the Marvel universe is supporting us. I just got a text just now from Captain America and Wonder Woman for $15,000. Woo! Nice. Thank you, Captain America and Wonder Woman. We appreciate that.